This is a person who is single-minded in his pursuit of what he wants. You get in Donald Trump's way and you're going to get run over. I'm Michael D'Antonio, journalist and author, and I've written the book, The Truth About Trump. The first time I met Donald, he asked me why I wanted to write a book about him. And I said, well, you strode onto the public stage in 1976. That's almost 40 years. No one else who started then is still around, is still so famous. I think that's interesting. And he kind of looked at me and a little twinkle appeared in his eye and he was delighted.
I love the creative process and I love winning.
This is something most people don't know, but the first business activity he ever undertook was the production of a Broadway play. It wasn't a very good play. It closed in about 10 weeks, but I think Donald's attraction to showbiz was evident then. Donald was born to a father of German heritage. Anyone who would have known Fred, and I've met a few people who did, and also know Donald, would see there's a direct line from father to son. So he wanted not only to be rich, but to be very rich. The father was also incredibly workaholic. So when people see this very driven man who's endless in his appetite for attention, I think what they're seeing also is a kid who might not have got enough attention and has been trying to make up for it ever since. Donald's exile from his family and enrollment in military academy at age 13 must be seen as the formative event of his childhood. He'll say, I was a kid who talked back a lot. I was rough with people, but I've seen no evidence that he was a delinquent or doing the kind of really bad things that you associate with a kid who's sent away to military academy.
They're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
All of the provocation that he dishes out on the campaign trail and things that he says that upset a lot of people. Donald has a lot of positive qualities that come out, especially in private. He's rather kindly. He smiles. He can make fun of himself, and with his staff you can see that there's a loyalty and a mutual admiration that goes back and forth among them. Well, when we think about Donald as a political creature, and especially as a person who aspires to the Oval Office, it helps to understand that he really thinks of himself as the best person in the world. This is going to sound very strange to most of us. He believes that almost genetically, he is gifted beyond everyone else who might aspire to the presidency.
You have so many dishonest reporters.
In the current campaign, we've seen at almost every event, Donald begins by excoriating the press. He'll point them out, and the reporters will have to stand there while the crowd turns and looks at these people he describes as terrible people. This is red meat to his loyalists. He doesn't hate the press. He loves the press. The press has been the oxygen for his lungs and the air that pumps up the balloon that is his ego. I've probably been asked 100 times, is Donald Trump a racist? And no one can look into someone else's heart and make that call. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's an unmitigated racist. But he is a person who's repeatedly chosen to side with sort of the white resentment side of an issue. So in 2011, at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Obama made Trump the butt of most of his jokes.
No one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. So he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing?
And there's tape of him sitting there painfully taking it, and you could see that Donald was suffering. I think Donald was seething, and probably on that night he decided he was going to run. There's nothing that Trump would relish more than taking the keys to the Oval Office from Obama's hand.